Welcome to a dive into one of the most iconic acts of defiance in American history, the Boston Tea Party of 1773. This wasn't just a protest, it was a bold statement against British control, sparked by a simple commodity, tea. Drawing from historical accounts, let's explore how colonial merchants brewed up a revolution. In the early 1770s, the British East India Company was on the brink of bankruptcy. To save it, the British Parliament passed the Tea Act in 1773. This act allowed the company to ship tea directly from India to the American colonies, bypassing traditional routes. The result? Cheaper tea for colonists, but at a steep hidden cost. You see, this created a monopoly for the East India Company. Colonial merchants, who had been buying and selling tea through their own channels, were suddenly cut out. They couldn't purchase tea from anyone else, and this threatened their livelihoods. Even though the tea was now more affordable, the act included a tax that symbolized British authority over the colonies without representation. Colonists were furious, not just about the price, but about the principle. It was taxation without consent, and it bypassed local businesses entirely. The Tea Act ignited resistance across the colonies. Ships loaded with East India Company tea began arriving in major ports, but not everyone welcomed them. In New York and Philadelphia, local agents feared the backlash. They refused to unload the cargoes. Instead, the tea was stored briefly, then sent back to England untouched. The colonists there made their point without escalating to destruction. In Charleston, the response was similar but slightly different. The shipments arrived and were unloaded, but they were locked away in a warehouse. No one touched them, and eventually they rotted or were seized. These actions showed restraint, but tension was building. But Boston was different. The agents there weren't afraid. They allowed 3 ships, the Dartmouth, the Eleanor, and the Beaver, to dock in Boston Harbor, loaded with chests of tea. The ships arrived in late November and early December 1773, and the colonists had a deadline. If the tea wasn't unloaded and the duty paid by December 17th, the cargo could be seized. Meetings erupted across Boston. Thousands gathered at the Old South Meeting House to debate what to do. Samuel Adams and other Sons of Liberty leaders rallied the crowd. They argued that allowing the tea to be sold would set a dangerous precedent for British monopolies and taxes. The decision was made. The tea must not land. On the night of December 16, 1773, just before the deadline, a group of about 50 to 150 men disguised themselves as Mohawk Indians. Why the disguise? It symbolized their identity as Americans, not British subjects, and provided some anonymity. Under the cover of darkness, they marched to Griffin's Wharf. They boarded the 3 ships quietly but purposefully. No violence against the crew, just the cargo. Using axes and hatchets, they pried open 342 chests of tea. That's over 90,000 pounds, worth about $1.7 million in today's money. They dumped it all into the harbor, turning the water into a giant, bitter cup of tea. The whole operation took about 3 hours, and remarkably, it was done without major chaos. The participants even swept the decks clean afterward. This event, dubbed the Boston Tea Party, was more than vandalism. It was a war whoop, a disguised act of rebellion that echoed the colonists' growing frustration. Their dramatic heaving of tea chests overboard captured the spirit of defiance. Bostonians weren't just protesting tea, they were challenging the entire system of British control. The aftermath was swift. Britain responded with the Intolerable Acts, closing Boston Harbor and tightening control, which only fueled the push toward independence. The Tea Party united the colonies and became a symbol of resistance, paving the way for the American Revolution. Today, the Boston Tea Party reminds us how everyday items like tea can spark monumental change. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more historical deep dives.